There is a very strange phenomenon that many people have experienced but rarely pay attention to. After eating asparagus, the urine of some individuals develops an unusual smell, very distinct and very characteristic. Not everyone notices it, and not everyone experiences this phenomenon. The same vegetable, the same meal, yet the body's reaction is completely different. This makes asparagus one of the very few foods capable of creating such a clear biological sign within just a few hours. Not because it is toxic, not because it is strange, but because inside this seemingly simple vegetable are compounds that function in a very specific way within the human body. Asparagus is not a vegetable that overwhelms at first sight. It is not colorful, not intensely sweet, not strongly flavored. Yet for centuries, it was considered a food for the upper class. It appeared at luxurious banquets. It was once regarded as something not everyone had the privilege to eat regularly. Today, asparagus rests quietly in supermarket-produced sections. No noise, no advertising. Yet it remains there. And it continues to be chosen, again and again, by those who understand its value. Why has such a modest-looking vegetable endured for thousands of years? Why does modern science continue to study it? And what truly makes asparagus different from the rest of the green vegetable world? To understand that, we must first know what asparagus truly is, and why humans have remained connected to it for so long. Asparagus is a young shoot vegetable harvested when it is still very immature, before the stalk has time to become woody. When fully mature, asparagus is no longer a familiar vegetable on the dining table but becomes a tall, slender, and rigid plant. For this reason, humans choose to eat asparagus only during the briefest stage of its life cycle, when its structure is still tender, its flavor still delicate, and its nutritional value at its peak. In appearance, asparagus has a straight, elongated stalk with a tightly closed tip. This is the youngest part and is also considered the most valuable. A good bundle of asparagus usually has firm stalks that are not hollow and not wrinkled. Even from its outward appearance, it shows that it is not a vegetable grown hastily or mass-produced. In modern life, asparagus commonly appears in three main forms. Green asparagus is the most common, grown under sunlight and offering a balanced flavor. White asparagus is grown without exposure to light, preventing the plant from producing chlorophyll, resulting in a paler color and milder taste. Purple asparagus is less common, darker in color due to distinctive plant compounds, and is often considered more robust in flavor. What makes asparagus special does not lie in its diversity of forms, but in how humans perceive it. In many cuisines, asparagus is not used to eat until full. It is eaten correctly, eaten in moderation, eaten selectively. It appears in meals that prioritize quality over quantity, refinement over display. This way of existing has helped asparagus maintain its unique position throughout history, and to understand why humans recognized the value of this vegetable so early, we must go back in time to where asparagus first entered human life. Before asparagus became a familiar vegetable in modern meals, it had existed as part of human life from a very early time. The earliest traces of asparagus were found in the Mediterranean region, North Africa and West Asia, where the dry climate and suitable soil favored plants with resilient life cycles. Here, asparagus initially grew wild, with slender stalks, a more bitter taste, and little indication that it would one day become a respected food. The ancient Greeks were among the early civilizations to recognize the value of asparagus. They regarded it not only as food but also as a plant associated with health and bodily balance. In ancient records, asparagus appears alongside herbs used in daily life, from meals to traditional remedies. For the Greeks, using asparagus was not an act of display. It was a conscious choice based on experience accumulated over many generations. By the time of ancient Rome, asparagus assumed a different role. It became associated with the upper class. The Romans did not merely eat asparagus. They recorded methods of cultivating, harvesting, and preserving it. Some documents suggest that asparagus was transported over long distances and even dried for use outside the growing season. This demonstrates how valuable asparagus was in that society, not because it was rare, but because it required effort, knowledge, and patience to obtain. After the fall of the Roman Empire, asparagus did not disappear. It continued to exist quietly in monastery gardens and small farms across Europe. By the 17th century in France, asparagus returned to culinary prominence. Royal gardens began cultivating it on a larger scale and with greater care. From that point, asparagus gradually carried the image of a premium vegetable associated with refinement and standards in dining. The journey of asparagus was not a rapid explosion. It was a process spanning thousands of years, during which humans observed, experimented, and selected step by step. This slow history laid the foundation for a lasting relationship between asparagus and humanity. And to understand why asparagus today has its present form, flavor, and value, we must continue examining how humans have intervened and shaped it over time. The asparagus we eat today is no longer identical to the wild asparagus that appeared thousands of years ago. Throughout history, humans did not merely harvest asparagus but gradually intervened in its growth patterns, appearance, and flavor. This process occurred slowly over many generations and was rarely clearly recorded, yet its results are evident in every modern stalk of asparagus. Initially, wild asparagus had slender, tougher stalks and a more bitter taste. Only plants with softer, more palatable stalks were retained and cultivated near human settlements. Over time, this selection gradually produced asparagus varieties with thicker stalks, less fiber, and milder flavor. This was not random change, but the result of hundreds of years of deliberate observation and selection. One of the clearest human interventions is the cultivation method used to control color and flavor. Green asparagus is grown under sunlight, allowing normal photosynthesis and chlorophyll development. White asparagus, by contrast, is grown with restricted light exposure, often covered with soil or shielded, preventing chlorophyll formation. This difference alters not only color, but also structure and taste. White asparagus is usually softer and milder, directly reflecting the growing conditions created by humans. Purple asparagus is another example of how humans shape food. Its color comes from distinctive plant compounds preserved and enhanced through selective breeding. These varieties often have a more pronounced flavor and distinct structure, though they are less common than green asparagus. The coexistence of these types shows that humans sought not only productivity but also diversity of culinary experience. Importantly, asparagus was not transformed into something entirely different. Humans did not artificially make it sweeter or force it into becoming a mass commodity vegetable. The intervention here was refined, gradual, and limited. Modern asparagus therefore retains its individual character while better aligning with contemporary human preferences and needs. This selective intervention established the foundation for the nutritional value of modern asparagus. And to understand why science today highly regards this vegetable, we must look deeper into the nutritional structure within each stalk. From the outside, asparagus does not appear to be a nutrient-rich food. It is light, low in energy. It does not immediately create prolonged fullness. Yet within that seemingly simple structure lies the reason modern nutritional science gives significant attention to asparagus. The first point to mention is nutrient density. In a serving of fresh asparagus, the energy provided is very low, yet it contains many substances the body needs for stable function. This makes asparagus a typical example of the concept of consuming low energy while obtaining high biological value. Fiber is the foundational component of asparagus. It includes both soluble and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber promotes bowel movement and supports natural elimination. Meanwhile, soluble fiber acts as a food source for the gut microbiota. When this microbial system functions steadily, digestion, absorption, and even immune responses improve. Asparagus therefore affects not only directly, but also indirectly influences multiple systems within the body. Another prominent nutrient in asparagus is folate, also known as vitamin B9. Folate directly participates in new cell formation and the synthesis of genetic material. This is why science pays particular attention to folate during periods requiring rapid regeneration, such as pregnancy or recovery phases. The relatively high folate content in asparagus helps explain why it is often mentioned in diets focused on sustainable bodily development. Vitamin K is another component that cannot be overlooked. This vitamin is closely related to blood clotting and bone health. The body does not require large amounts of vitamin K daily, but it does need it consistently. Asparagus meets this requirement well by providing vitamin K in an adequate amount to maintain essential biological functions without excess. In addition, asparagus contains antioxidant vitamins such as vitamins A, C, and E, along with plant compounds like flavonoids. These substances help neutralize free radicals formed during daily metabolism. Rather than acting as a strong intervention, they serve as quiet protection, contributing to cellular stability over time. Finally, there are minerals, particularly potassium. Potassium participates in regulating fluid balance and supporting cardiovascular function. Combined with the naturally low sodium content in asparagus, the presence of potassium creates a favorable environment for the body's regulatory mechanisms to operate more smoothly. Overall, the nutritional value of asparagus does not lie in a single nutrient, but in how these components work together. They do not produce immediate dramatic effects, but they quietly support the body in functioning more efficiently each day. And from this scientific foundation, the real-life benefits of asparagus become clearer and more meaningful. In real life, the value of asparagus does not lie in promising sudden health transformation. It demonstrates its impact more gradually, suitable for those seeking stability and sustainability in daily eating habits. For busy individuals, asparagus is a simple yet effective choice. It is easy to prepare, requires minimal seasoning, and can accompany various meals. Its low energy content prevents heaviness after eating, while its fiber creates comfort for the digestive system. This is especially important for those working long hours who do not want to feel sluggish due to overeating. For older adults, asparagus provides value through subtle support. Fiber helps maintain regular digestion, a factor that often declines with age. Vitamin K and minerals contribute to maintaining bone structure and biological functions related to movement. This is not an improvement felt immediately, but support accumulated over time. For those following an eat-clean diet or prioritizing plant-based foods, asparagus fits naturally. It does not need to be labeled special because it inherently meets criteria of low energy, high nutrient content, and minimal processing. Including asparagus regularly diversifies nutrient sources without disrupting dietary structure. Asparagus is also meaningful for individuals concerned with weight management. Its high water content combined with fiber creates moderate fullness, limiting overeating. More importantly, this fullness does not come with fatigue, allowing the body to maintain normal rhythm. Additionally, some individuals notice mild elimination support, expressed through more effective removal of excess water and salt. This is a natural physiological response, not forced or intense intervention, consistent with how asparagus has always expressed its value throughout history. All these benefits show that asparagus does not target a single group. It suits various life stages, from when the body is strong to when more attentive care is needed. And to fully utilize these values, how we use asparagus in daily meals plays an equally important role. For asparagus to express its value, preparation is often as important as the vegetable itself. Asparagus tastes best when fresh, with straight and firm stalks and tightly closed tips. When touched, the stalk should have slight elasticity, not limp and not wrinkled. This indicates it remains in its young stage, nutrient-rich and easy to prepare. In storage, asparagus needs moisture retained at the base. A simple method is wrapping the base with damp paper and placing it in a bag in the refrigerator. Some people stand the asparagus base in a glass of water like flowers to maintain freshness longer. When properly stored, asparagus can maintain good quality for several days without losing natural crispness. In cooking, asparagus does not require complicated processing. Overcooking can reduce structure and some nutrients. Light steaming, quick stir-frying, or roasting at moderate temperature often preserve flavor and crispness. When trimming, only remove the tough lower portion, as the remaining part is generally usable. Asparagus combines flexibly with many foods, from meat and fish to plant protein sources. In simple dishes, a little oil, salt, and proper heat are enough to highlight its natural flavor. However, it is important to remember that no food suits everyone perfectly. Asparagus may create a distinctive physiological response in some individuals, expressed through urine odor after consumption. This is normal and harmless, but may cause discomfort for some. Consuming asparagus in moderation within a varied diet remains the most reasonable approach. The way we prepare and consume asparagus reflects the relationship between humans and food. When understood and respected, asparagus becomes not merely a dish, but a natural part of a balanced lifestyle. Looking back at the entire journey of asparagus, it is difficult to view it as merely a simple vegetable. From the dry lands of the Mediterranean, North Africa, and West Asia, asparagus accompanied humans through many civilizations and historical periods. It was once food for the upper class, cultivated in royal gardens, and also quietly present in the daily lives of small communities. Today, asparagus no longer carries the image of luxury as before. It appears simply in modern meals, yet its core value remains unchanged. Low in energy, rich in nutrients, versatile, and unpretentious. Asparagus represents an approach to eating that prioritizes quality over quantity. It does not attempt to impress, yet it steadily maintains its role in a world with increasing choices. The modern meaning of asparagus lies in that balance. It reminds us that foods enduring over time do not survive because they are glamorous, but because they meet the genuine needs of the body across time. When chosen and used appropriately, asparagus becomes a small but solid part of a healthy lifestyle. And perhaps the most valuable thing asparagus leaves behind is not only the nutrients within each stalk, but a gentle reminder that sustainability in eating always begins with simple choices, clearly understood and truly appreciated.